I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was. I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christian.
Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season.
I think I found a way through over there.
It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Maybe we can prop it open with something and you can slide.
Whoa! Oh my god, what?
Is it getting bigger?
Stop it.
No, seriously, what's with that?
It's fine, Joel.
Does it hurt?
Joel, please. You're making me self-conscious.
I'm sorry, it's just a little bit startling.
It's a normal head, Joel. Can we just get back to the door things?
Planetary.
Leave it.
It's gonna have its own area code soon.
Ellie's super smart. What? Characterization of Ellie being dumb is weird.
There was a lot of deviations and more than anything, terrible casting on the part of Neil Druckmann and the director and producer of this show, Craig Mazin. I think they did a terrible job with a lot of the actors they did choose for The Last of Us, including Pedro Pascal, who's just overexposed now.
So maybe if I just move some of this debris, we can get the door open a crack.
Hey! Here! Oh my goodness, Joel! What do I do?
Jesus!
Joel, focus!
Again?
Joel!
Okay, I guess just use your telekinesis?
I don't have telekinesis, Joel!
I don't believe you! Look at the size of that thing! Just try, Ellie, please! I think it's working, Ellie. Keep trying! Come on, cranium! Yeah!
Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her when things inevitably start spiraling.
Oh my god, she is so full of it.
This is not what it's...
The creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits Season 2 was a finale, drew over 50% less than the finale of Season 1. You lost half of your...
It was supposed to be Bulletproof, one of the most critically acclaimed franchises in entertainment history. A series that redefined storytelling in gaming, then conquered television with the kind of success most studios only dream of. The Last of Us was more than just a hit. It was a cultural phenomenon. So how did it all go so wrong? How did one of the safest bets in Hollywood collapse into chaos, betrayal, and complete cancellation?
That's wild. Every time that song got played, I thought about Joel and I would cry. But because we spent the entire last episode or two just not even thinking about him too much, in my humble opinion, and I know nothing, okay, and I'm not a writer, we could have started the episode there. Shouldn't need to be triangulating. Ellie didn't need to be dumb.
The answer isn't what you think. It wasn't just the plot twists or the controversial storylines. It wasn't just the fans or the haters or the pressure of living up to greatness. No, the real story happened off-screen. Backstage tension, silent feuds, social firestorms, and at the center of it all, two rising stars, Ramsay and Caitlyn Dever, whose quiet rivalry would eventually detonate into a full-blown franchise implosion. What began as whispers turned into viral scandals. Press tours became war zones. Red carpets turned cold. And The Last of Us Part 3 completely scrapped, finished before it even started.
How far down that road did you get in your mind about playing Ellie in a Last of Us film?
I think it just really felt like a big deal. And what I remember, like the highlights of that time were just going to Naughty Dog, like headquarters, I guess, and walking around with Neil and him showing me how the game is made.
This isn't just the story of a failed season. This is the inside breakdown of how egos clashed, loyalties shattered, and a billion-dollar empire came crashing down. From risky creative choices to real-world backlash, we're pulling back the curtain on everything the studio didn't want you to see. So buckle up, because once you know what really happened, you may never look at The Last of Us the same way again.
Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsey in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons, because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from season 1, even though She's supposed to be 19.
The second season of The Last of Us should have been a victory lap. After all, the first season had captivated audiences worldwide. HBO's adaptation of the beloved game was not only faithful, it was powerful. It brought new life to Joel and Ellie's story, and for a moment it felt like lightning had struck twice. But the magic didn't last. From the moment the first trailer for Season 2 dropped, fans noticed something off. Ellie, now supposed to be 19 years old, looked and acted exactly the same as she did in Season 1. No older, no different, no evolution. Bella Ramsey, talented as she was, hadn't aged 5 years in the real world because she couldn't. The production had only taken 2 years to roll out the next chapter, but the story? It demanded a clear time jump, growth, a sense that Ellie had changed, and yet she hadn't, at least not in the eyes of fans. It might seem like a small thing, but it hit hard, because The Last of Us wasn't just a show, it was emotional real estate. Every detail mattered, every character arc was sacred, and the decision not to recast Ellie was seen by many as the first major misstep. Critics called it unrealistic. Fans said it was immersion-breaking. Some accused the showrunners of choosing comfort over credibility. Even Bella's performance, previously praised as raw and authentic, started drawing skepticism. She still acts like a 14-year-old, one viral Reddit thread said. It's like Season 1 Ellie never left, and things only got worse when Craig Mazin, the show's creator, finally broke his silence. In a surprising interview, Mazin admitted that Season 2 hadn't landed the way they'd hoped. He didn't mince words. He said the backlash caught them off guard, that they underestimated how important those character transitions were to the fans, and quietly, he admitted they may have made a mistake by keeping Bella in the role unchanged. For longtime fans, it wasn't just about visuals, it was about integrity. The show had promised to respect the timeline of the story. Instead, it leaned on star power and familiarity, hoping no one would notice. They noticed, and once the cracks began to show, they spread fast. Even before Season 2 premiered, The Last of Us Part 2 already carried a shadow. Gamers remember the backlash. The moment the sequel dropped, it split the fan base in two. Joel's demise, Abby's storyline, the structure, the flashbacks, everything about it screamed risk, and for some, it worked. For others, it was a betrayal. But the hope was that the TV adaptation could heal the divide, that HBO could polish what the game had scuffed. That didn't happen. Instead, the adaptation poured gasoline on the already burning debate. Some called it brave, others called it tone-deaf. Reviewers were torn. Forums erupted. YouTube videos titled "The Destruction of The Last of Us" racked up millions of views overnight. The show wasn't just being criticized, it was becoming a symbol of everything fans felt was wrong with modern storytelling. The decisions, the pacing, and in the middle of all of it, Bella Ramsey. At first, Bella had the fan base's support. She had been a breakout in Season 1, winning hearts with her take on Ellie. But Season 2 changed everything. The very moment cracks appeared in the show, fans started looking for someone to blame. And Bella, young, outspoken, and at the center of every scene, quickly became the lightning rod. People started saying she was miscast from the beginning, that her portrayal didn't match the hardened, emotionally scarred Ellie of the second game, that she lacked the grit, the edge, the transformation fans were desperate to see. Meanwhile, a new name entered the picture: Caitlyn Dever. Caitlyn was cast as Abby, a character already controversial in the gaming world, but unlike Bella, Caitlyn was immediately embraced by critics. Her portrayal was called intense, unapologetic, and raw. Even skeptics were impressed. And just like that, a subtle comparison began, not just between characters, but between actresses. Bella was increasingly viewed as too soft, too youthful, too wrapped in her own public image. Caitlyn, on the other hand, came across as sharp, grounded, and focused. That contrast, even if unspoken, became the undercurrent of every press appearance, every red carpet, every behind-the-scenes whisper, and the pressure kept building. Fans started noticing Bella skipping interviews, missing major events. Rumors swirled. Was it drama? Was she being pushed out? Was something brewing behind the scenes? Nobody had answers, just questions. And speculation? It was spreading like wildfire. Because what people didn't know then was that this wasn't just about the show anymore. This was personal. And the divide between Bella and Caitlyn was about to explode, right in front of the world. What started as awkward tension behind the scenes soon turned into something much more visible and much harder to ignore. The press tour for The Last of Us Season 2 was supposed to be a celebration, a moment for the cast to come together and defend their work in the face of criticism. But instead of unity, fans noticed something strange. Bella Ramsey and Caitlyn Dever were never in the same room. Event after event, Caitlyn showed up smiling, shaking hands, doing interviews, and posing with co-stars. Meanwhile, Bella was absent. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Always a scheduling conflict, always an excuse. And fans, they weren't buying it. Online forums lit up with speculation. Were they feuding? Had something happened on set? At first, it was easy to brush off. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe it was damage control. But then came the moment that changed everything. The viral Instagram Q&A. A fan asked Bella what it was like working with Caitlyn Dever. Innocent enough, right? Bella's response? Not so much. She paused, smirked, and casually referred to Caitlyn as a method actress with an attitude. Just a few words, said with a grin. But the internet caught it, and they did not let it go. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Reddit. Fans dissected every facial expression, every inflection, every sideways glance. Some said it was just a joke. Others said it was clear disrespect. But everyone agreed on one thing. Something was definitely off between these two stars. And then the factions formed. Hashtag Team Caitlyn Caitlyn began trending. Memes popped up roasting Bella's performance, criticizing her professionalism, and painting her as jealous, immature, divisive. Commentary channels dove in headfirst. One called the feud the final nail in HBO's golden coffin. Another claimed that Bella had become too controversial to carry a franchise. And just like that, the conversation shifted. No longer just about The Last of Us. Now it was about Bella Ramsey, her image, her behavior, and whether she was fit to lead such a beloved series. Naughty Dog, now fully aware of the PR disaster unfolding in real time, took swift action. Reports surfaced that the studio had quietly begun separating Bella and Caitlyn at future events. No shared interviews, no press panels, no photo ops. Instead of calming the storm, it confirmed everyone's worst suspicions. The drama was real. The fallout had started, and things were about to get much, much worse. If there was ever a moment for the studio to turn things around, it was The Last of Us 2 premiere. This was supposed to be the event. The press, the photos, the applause, one final opportunity to show a united front, to prove that all the whispers were just noise. But what happened that night didn't silence rumors. It confirmed them. From the second the cast arrived, something was clearly off. Caitlyn Dever stepped onto the red carpet first, calm, confident, glowing with the kind of poised energy that PR teams dream of. She smiled alongside the showrunners, posed with fellow castmates, and chatted with reporters like a seasoned pro. Bella Ramsey arrived late, walked the carpet alone. No cast photos, no interaction with Caitlyn, not even a wave across the venue. It was cold, calculated, and completely unignorable. Inside the premiere, it got even more bizarre. Sources later confirmed what fans had suspected. The studio had deliberately seated Bella and Caitlyn on opposite sides of the theater, not just apart, opposite ends, different sections, different rows, no interaction, not a glance, not a smile, not a word. Even veteran reporters who'd covered dozens of these premieres said they'd never seen anything like it. And of course, the internet noticed. Side-by-side photos began circulating. Bella looking tense and isolated. Caitlyn surrounded by castmates, laughing in group shots. The contrast was stark. The message was clear. The fracture between the two leads was no longer private. It was broadcast for the world to see. Reddit exploded. Fans started pulling receipts, tracking old interviews, revisiting behind-the-scenes clips, analyzing anything that could reveal when the relationship began to fall apart. YouTubers uploaded breakdowns titled The Bella-Caitlyn Feud. What really happened? Thousands of comments poured in. Some defended Bella, others blamed her entirely, but everyone agreed on one thing. This was no ordinary cast tension. This was war. And as all this unfolded, The Last of Us 2 was quietly unraveling in the background. Despite the months of hype, the reviews were mixed. The fan reactions? Savage. Viewership dipped after just a few episodes. Twitch streamers moved on. Let's Plays flatlined. And the once dominant presence of The Last of Us in gaming culture started to fade. But while the numbers told one story, the real damage was happening off-screen, in the relationships, the reputation, and the public perception of everyone involved. And the studio knew it, because what came next would turn this simmering feud into a full-blown industry crisis. Just when it seemed like things couldn't possibly get worse, Bella Ramsey made a move that no one saw coming. In the middle of rising backlash on a random Thursday afternoon, she sent out a single tweet. 2 words, no context, no explanation. That was it, but that was all it took. Within minutes, social media exploded. Fans, industry insiders, and entertainment outlets lit up with reactions. Some hailed it as brave, others called it reckless, and many, especially those already on the fence about Bella, saw it as the final straw. But this wasn't just a social statement. This was a bomb dropped in the middle of an already chaotic storm. The Last of Us fan base wasn't ready. The studio definitely wasn't ready. And Caitlyn Dever? She became collateral damage. According to multiple sources, Caitlyn's family has long-standing ties to pro-Israel organizations. And as Bella's tweet went viral, so did the backlash. Not just toward her, but toward Caitlyn, who suddenly found herself in the crosshairs of online roasting. Supporters of Israel accused Bella of fueling anti-Semitic narratives, and activists praised her courage. But for Naughty Dog and HBO, it didn't matter where the opinions landed. What mattered was that the franchise had just become a social lightning rod. Behind the scenes, the reaction was instant and severe. Executives reportedly called emergency meetings to assess the damage. Publicists drafted and deleted statements. Lawyers got involved. Even the show's writers were told to pause development while the studio scrambled to contain the fallout. Then came the reports of increased security. According to insiders, both Bella and Caitlyn were assigned additional protection during upcoming events. Not because of fans, not because of stalkers, but because the social issues of this feud had crossed a line, from fandom drama to global headlines. But Bella wasn't backing down. In private meetings, studio heads urged her to delete the tweet, issue a soft apology, or at least clarify her intent. But Bella refused. She reportedly told executives she wouldn't play the studio's PR games, that she stood by her beliefs and didn't owe anyone silence. The result? Total rupture. The fragile piece holding The Last of Us together shattered. Whatever hope remained for repairing the show's image disappeared in that moment. The studio had lost control of its lead actress, and the audience knew it. For fans already questioning Bella's commitment to the role, this was the confirmation they'd been waiting for, that she wasn't just Ellie on screen, she had become a walking controversy off of it. But the most damaging part? This wasn't just about social issues anymore. It was about perception. And perception is everything when you're trying to lead a franchise. And behind the scenes, the whispers whispers turned into ultimatums. At this point, The Last of Us wasn't just struggling, it was flatlining. Viewership numbers for Season 2 continued to fall. Twitch streamers who once proudly played the game live on launch night had moved on. YouTube was flooded with negative reviews, breakdowns, and what went wrong, think pieces that racked up millions of views. The magic was gone, and the blame? It was all starting to zero in on Bella Ramsey. Critics and fans alike began saying what had once been unthinkable, that Bella had become a liability. Her social stances, her Instagram feuds, her behind-the-scenes friction with Caitlyn Dever, it had all built a storm cloud so large that not even the show's narrative could shine through it. And then came the podcast. In what should have been a promotional opportunity to rebuild some goodwill, Bella went on a high-profile podcast and did the unthinkable. She criticized the original game. She called the storyline outdated. She said Joel's arc didn't age well. She suggested the narrative needed to be modernized to reflect current values and cultural shifts. To her, maybe it was just honesty. Maybe it was part of a broader conversation about how storytelling evolves. But to the Last of Us fanbase, the ones who had followed this story for over a decade, it was sacrilege. The character of Joel Miller wasn't just part of the narrative. He was the narrative. A father figure, a tragic hero, a symbol of the game's emotional weight. And hearing Bella casually dismiss his importance, it felt like betrayal. The internet, already divided, turned hostile. Fans flooded the podcast's comment sections. Clip compilations were made, roasting Bella's words. Hashtags like #NotMyEllie and #RipLastOfUs trended on Twitter. And Caitlyn Dever, still silent, still composed, but according to insiders, fuming. Sources close to the production said Caitlyn had privately told friends she was done defending the franchise, that she felt like her work was being overshadowed by controversies she had no part in, and that the situation had become completely unmanageable. Not long after, Naughty Dog held one final closed-door meeting with HBO executives. It wasn't about salvaging the story. It wasn't about restructuring the season. It was about survival. And the verdict? Pull the plug. The third installment of The Last of Us was officially canceled. No cryptic delays, no vague language about scheduling, just a quiet, devastating confirmation that the show, once the crown jewel of modern storytelling, was done. But as fans were still processing the news, something else happened. Something that turned this from a disaster into a full-blown collapse. Caitlyn Dever finally broke her silence. The silence had been deafening. Through all the press chaos, the social media storms, and Bella's growing list of controversies, Caitlyn Dever had stayed quiet. Professionally quiet. Strategically quiet. But never accidentally quiet. And when The Last of Us Part 3 was officially declared canceled, fans wondered if she'd say anything at all. Then, out of nowhere, she did. In a carefully worded interview with a major entertainment outlet, Caitlyn finally spoke. And while she never mentioned Bella Ramsey by name, she didn't need to. With calm, precise language, Caitlyn described the show's collapse as a product of off-screen drama and irresponsible cast behavior. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't throw punches. But she didn't hold back either. She made it clear. This wasn't just about storytelling or creative risk. This was about people. People who let their egos, opinions, and social media presence override the work. Fans instantly knew who she was talking about. Comment sections erupted. Headlines flew. Even professional critics called it the most calculated, devastating rebuke in recent Hollywood memory. Because Caitlyn didn't just protect herself, she rebranded her image overnight. From co-star to survivor, from player to victim of the fallout. Support for her skyrocketed. Clips of her performance as Abby went viral again, this time recontextualized. People praised her focus, her commitment, her silence in the face of drama. Her image became what Bella's used to be. Strong, loyal, misunderstood, but ultimately right. Meanwhile, Bella Ramsey was nowhere to be found. Her social media had gone quiet. No promotions, no interviews, no commentary. And when she did post, the content was vague. A crying emoji, a photo of a dark sky, a one-line message that simply read, "Sometimes you learn the hard way." No one knew exactly what she meant, but everyone felt it. The franchise was gone. The fans were divided. And Bella Ramsey, the face of one of the most iconic characters in modern storytelling, was left completely alone. And just like that, it was over. No third season, no spin-off, no redemption arc. The Last of Us, once untouchable, had crumbled under the weight of its own controversy. Critics now describe it not as a failed season, but as a cultural implosion, a case study in how quickly public favor can turn, how internet virality can build an icon, and just as quickly destroy one. For Bella Ramsey, the road back is unclear. Some fans still defend her, calling her a casualty of online outrage, a young actress caught in the impossible tension between fandom, identity, and social issues. Others see her as the catalyst, the flashpoint that took a billion-dollar franchise and dragged it into chaos. And for Caitlyn Dever, her star continues to rise. She's already been cast in 2 new major projects, praised for her professionalism and resilience. To many in the industry, she's not just escaping the wreckage, she's standing on top of it. But one question still lingers, louder now than ever before. Was this all inevitable? Did the pressure of living up to a masterpiece doom this sequel from the start? Or did personal egos and public drama turn a golden opportunity into a spectacular failure? Because The Last of Us was never just about infected monsters or post-apocalyptic cities. It was about trust. Between characters, between creators and fans, between the people on screen and those watching from the shadows. And once that trust broke, nothing could fix it. So now we're left with a broken franchise franchise, a fractured cast, and a fandom still arguing about what really happened. Was Bella Ramsey unfairly blamed for the collapse? Or did her choices, both on and off screen, bring the whole thing down? Did Caitlyn Dever speak out to protect the series, or to protect herself? One thing is certain, the damage is done. And the gaming world, the one that once embraced The Last of Us as a shining example of storytelling perfection, may never look at it the same way again. Because in this story, the monsters weren't just on screen. Sometimes the real infection comes from within.